Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Fernie City Council held at 6 p.m. on October 24th, 2023. Ki Suk Yukit, we acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of Yakutat Nucleat, and we recognize that we live and work in their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakutat Nucleat and are members of the Ktunaxa-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. I did want to comment as well. I'm wearing a poppy this evening. I am participating tomorrow in the Fernie Legion's first poppy kickoff. I didn't want to preempt that, but I wanted to acknowledge this poppy, which was a gift from Jared Basil and Wen Tellier, his partner, members of the Yakanui community near Creston. I'll call this meeting to order. This meeting is being conducted by in-person electronic means in accordance with council procedure bylaw number 2446. And before I get into the formal agenda, I would like very much to introduce our new youth counselor, Dylan Annis, who joins us. He's a grade 12 student from the Fernie Academy. And I applaud his interest and commitment to joining us as our youth counselor. And he distinguished himself amongst a very competitive field of other candidates. We had 10 incredibly strong candidates from our schools in Fernie, and we're very grateful for all their interest. And I wanted to congratulate and welcome Dylan. Dylan?
Yes, so as Mayor Milligan just said, my name is Dylan Annis. I'm very excited to be among everybody today, and I can't wait to learn about how municipal decisions are made.
Thank you, Dylan, and welcome. I'll now ask for approval of the agenda and any late items. I have a mover, please. Councillor Artie Kelly, Councillor Shoesmith. All those in favor? And at this point, I would like to move to suspend the rules because I have a notice of motion I'd like to present. So I'd ask for a mover and a seconder to suspend the rules. Councillor Artie Kelly, seconded by Councillor Shoesmith. All in favor? Thank you. And I'd like to propose the following resolution. The council directs staff to organize and facilitate a council town hall meeting in late November or early December and include a council update segment and an open mic to allow community participation. I have a mover. Councillor Artie Kelly, seconded by Councillor Ramadas. Any discussion?
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm just going to interrupt. So we would be adding an item to the agenda versus considering a resolution at the moment. Sorry.
Oh, no. That you've given us the detailed rules, but it is so confusing. And we have recognized that we need to correct this issue in our procedure bylaw. So at what point should we add this to the agenda?
So right now you could introduce to council the item you wish to add to the agenda. And if any other councillors have any other items, we could also add them to the agenda and then make a vote to add those items to the agenda. Okay. And I will number them on the agenda following and remind you when those items come up.
Thank you. So I would like to add an item for a council town hall meeting. Anyone else? Councillor Ramadas? No, at the moment, no. It'll be placed in the agenda.
Yes, we would, just to answer Councillor Ramadas's question, yes, we would be voting to add it to the agenda.
Oh, awkward. A seconder? All in favor? Thank you. You're very patient.
You guys are very good at following these rules.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. Are there any other items to be added while we have the rules suspended? Being none, we will continue with the business of the meeting. Item number 4, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 10th be adopted. Mover. Councillor Shoesmith, seconded by Councillor Artie Kelly. Any discussion? Councillor Ramirez.
Notes are getting better and better, Your Worship.
Well, excellent feedback. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. I'd now like to open the floor to public participation and invite the public in attendance or participating electronically who wish to comment on items listed on the meeting agenda in accordance with section 3.7.3 of the procedure bylaw to address council, except speakers must not address council regarding a matter for which a public hearing must be held or has been held pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of the matter or adoption of the bylaw. Speakers must not address council regarding a permit for which public notice must be given or has been given pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of issuance of the permit, and a speaker may only address council for a maximum of 3 minutes. And I'll ask Ms. Rhodes if there's anyone online who's indicated seeing no one. We will move on to item 9.1. A presentation from our project engineer, Ms. Line, on the active transportation infrastructure grant.
Good evening. Oh, it's practice. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Is this good? Yes? Okay. I'll just pull up my presentation. Oh, there's the mic. Sorry, guys. So I'm here this evening to get your approval to apply to the Active Transportation Grant Program for the first of hopefully many projects to close the gaps in our active transportation network. First, some background. In 2020, staff applied for and were awarded a grant from the BC Active Transportation Infrastructure Grant Program to create our active transportation master plan, which I added to the agenda, which made the agenda enormous. It's a long-range strategic plan that guides transportation and investments. The master plan was completed in January of 2022 and adopted by council on May 24th of that year. This year, we've done a couple things with the active transportation master plan. Our road rehab project this year, that's currently wrapping up construction, uses the cross section and tries to follow the ATMP designs where possible. The roadway cross-section updates of the ATMP have been incorporated in our proposed subdivision and developing services bylaw update that's currently under review. And council approved a project this year to create detailed designs of priority A pedestrian projects and 2 priority A cycling and rolling projects in preparation to apply for future active transportation infrastructure grants. And falling out of those designs is our first grant application to the same program to begin closing the gap on our identified network issues. So this application groups together 3 of the 8 priority A pedestrian projects in one program that'll increase accessibility through the city and provide safe routes to and from neighborhoods and to destinations, as well as maximizing the grant budget usage. And on the screen is all the identified projects, pedestrian projects of the active transportation plan. And then highlighted here are the 3 that we are proposing to put into that program. Of the 8 priority A projects, the first one, PH, which is the long one through West Fernie, has already been completed under the Fernie Valley Pathway Program. And then the 3 that we are proposing to put together are P1, P3, and P4. So I've skipped over P2 in here because it's also identified in the cycling and rolling projects as a priority A project, and that would have it have a sidewalk on one side and a multi-use pathway on the other. So it's actually more than our pedestrian projects. So that's why we have actually skipped it, because we are focusing on pedestrian projects in this application. And to limit costs, we're only looking at doing a sidewalk on these streets. Unlike the roads rehabilitation project where we added sidewalks this year to 4 blocks that didn't really have them, this time we're just adding a sidewalk. We're not touching the road at all. So all of these streets are local roads, and you can see the cross section from the ATMP at the bottom. And what that cross section shows is that there's a generous sidewalk separated from the street with a nice wide boulevard for snow storage and safety of users. These are the 3 project locations, and the pictures are kind of oriented where we would actually put the sidewalks. So on 7th and 9th Street, there would be the sidewalk and then a boulevard between the roadway and the sidewalk for snow storage and pedestrian comfort, and then the roadway. On Ridgemont, it's a little different. The existing, we're going to tie into a sidewalk that kind of ends mid-block in Ridgemont, as you can see right there. And so we're going to tie into that, and we're not going to shift the sidewalk further into the boulevard.
Sorry to interrupt, Ms. Line, but the sidewalk on 7th Street in the annex currently is on the south side of the street, and it's immediately adjacent to the roadway. So are we going to continue it further toward the dike by now putting a boulevard then the sidewalk, or are we going to continue the same design here from 9th Avenue to the dike?
From 9th Avenue to the dike, we're going to be using the ATMP design, which has so on 7th Street, there's the part that's been upgraded has a gravel side area for parking, and then it has the sidewalk. So we're going to keep the gravel area, have a little grass, and then a sidewalk. So it is going to be further not in the same alignment as the other blocks that have been rehabilitated recently.
Sorry, I guess I don't, it's not clear to me. So we live at the corner of 9th Avenue and 7th Street. At the 7th Street sidewalk, there is no gravel separation between the street. It is the pavement right up to the sidewalk. So we're going to alter that completely.
So the 7th Street, this part, from 9th to the annex dike, when it was redone, it actually has the roadway, the asphalt, and then it has a gravel area, which, as you can see on the picture, some of it's kind of retaken by weeds or grass. And we're going to keep that parking area and then a little grass boulevard and then the sidewalk. So it's not going to be in alignment with on the other side of 9th, but it's going to be in alignment with what the ATMP goes for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to Ridgemont. Oh,
Microphone.
So I want to keep going on the 7th Street. Just for my own edification, are you saying that from the highway to 9th, there's going to be sidewalk on one side, and from 9th to the dike, the sidewalk's going to be in the No.
no, the sidewalk will still be on the south side.
And so it's going to be contiguous sidewalk from one.
Yes, but when you leave the block on the east side of 9th and onto the west side of 9th, you might have to go a little bit angled on the road.
So it will, as I understand it, it will jog westward because now there will be a gravel boulevard between the street and the sidewalk. And like one of the challenges now, of course, is people pull across the sidewalk to park between a couple of residents. 9th and the highway. So now they'll have room to park. And then
Yes, the previous upgrade to 7th Street did have this gravel parking lane right beside the roadway, and we are keeping that on these 2 blocks.
not 100% sold on that idea, I confess, because it does represent not contiguous, represents a departure from what currently there. And the street, as I quite tapered, like it tapers quite sharply to 10th Avenue, and then it's quite narrow from Dike.
And so with this grant program, these designs, we are only adding sidewalk on the boulevard. We're not touching the roads. We're not touching the existing gravel parking area. So none of that, the roadway won't change at all in order to like keep our costs down.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But it strikes me that when in the one block, it's potentially doable where it tapers in the between 10th and 11th Avenue. That roadway is quite narrow and there isn't really much of a gravel verge there.
I believe you may be talking about where perhaps some homeowners have built onto the public right of way.
That's potentially true, but I also, it's very clear when you stand, look west, 7th Street, it narrows, the running surface narrows considerably from Avenue to 8th, quite narrow from, or sorry, 10th Avenue to.
So we again will not be touching the roadway at all and will be away from it into the boulevard. So no traffic changes will occur, just pedestrian safety will be improved with this program. Maybe I can provide the design drawings after this meeting. I didn't put them into the presentation.
I wouldn't mind, not least because, again, we're not touching the roadway, then the sidewalk will be a straight run from 9th Avenue to 11th. Roadway will narrow and, well, yeah, I'd love to see the design if you don't mind.
Absolutely. All right, back to Ridgemont. So we're tying into this existing sidewalk that is actually very skinny on that side, but we looked into moving it back to the edge of the boulevard close to the private property line, but there's a lot of little shallow utility appurtenances in that boulevard, power boxes, TELUS boxes, and it got cost prohibitive to move all those. So we are keeping the sidewalk right beside the curb line for Ridgemont. And one other thing, the ATMP cross-section has, for new roads, it has a sidewalk on both sides, but because our existing roadways are a little narrower than the proposed new roads to be built in Fernie, there's only one sidewalk proposing these improvements on each of these streets, which still is a vast improvement to what is there now, which is people walking on the boulevards or on the roadways. And now the budget discussion. So the grant program covers up to 70% of funding for each project, up to a maximum of $500,000. So when I was looking at all the priority A pedestrian projects, I tried to look into maximizing the use of that budget and minimizing the city funding. And so the staff recommendation is that top line of 3 projects lumped together that we just talked about. And the total estimated cost is just over $750,000. So we would maximize our usage of the grant, and we would, city would fund the remainder of $276,000. Or if we just want to do, be within the cost envelope where the grant, we only pay 30% of the grant, we would cut the third project, P4, and our total estimated cost is just under $500,000, and the city part would be $135,000. But that leaves grant money on the table, which is why we are proposing the first line. So staff recommendation here is option 1. And like the emphasis staff have put on fulfilling the priorities of the 2019 flood management plan, this will be one of the first attempts to attain a grant to start closing the gaps identified in the active transportation master plan. Adding new sidewalks to existing to the existing pedestrian network is maybe not the most glamorous project, but for the elderly, for children, for people who use strollers, this is, having a continuous network of safe pedestrian facilities is essential to remove barriers to access basic necessities. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Line. Questions from council? Councilor Ramadas.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just going to the slide, the third slide, I guess. First slide. Just wondering, like, how confident are we with?
So, if I may, we did have some cost estimates this year that came in over budget. And when I was looking into the application for this grant program is due this Friday, and it will come back. We should hear by the end of January through to the end of March, 3 to 5 months. So we will have our designs all ready and we can get right onto a tender. So that's a very good time of year to get the best cost and the most number of eyes on the project. So I can hope that that would be a time that we get the best pricing. However, like we could add in more contingencies here, but my focus on this budget is to maximize the grant usage and minimize the amount of city funds. So if construction costs come in higher than these estimates, I would not move to do the total cost. I would move to stay within the cost estimate proposed that maximizes the grant usage and minimizes city funds, regardless of what comes in.
Further?
No, Your Worship, just my thought is exactly the same as Engineer Line said. $500,000 on the table through grant money, we should just maximize. So it's it's almost immaterial, like, what the cost estimate at this point in time. For January, if you have a better estimate, that'll set us up for success.
Yeah, and I think it's very strategic to maximize available grant funding for each of these projects. So, other questions? Councilor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to make a comment there with regards to what Engineer Lyon said about the timing. And if we're talking strategic, I think we have to keep coming back to this idea over and over again of ensuring that we are going out and getting bids on projects before we get to the summertime. So often our cost overruns are because we are the last person at the table. Everybody already has lots of work and they're not giving us good pricing. We need to be constantly, and I'm not saying that we're not doing this. We have the opportunity to bundle early and so on. Should be taking takes a little bit. Amadas has brought up in concerns in the past is, are we really is the contingency right? Later we leave it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely valid. And I certainly know that engineer we're sort of constrained insofar as we've got to get the grant first before. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Councilor.
Around the design as well. Seeing the back and forth conversation between yourself and Engineer Line here, just wondering if we were to engage with the citizens in that particular street, how many such concerns and insights might come out of. Anyway, my question is, have we thought through the communication process?
If I may, we have not talked to the project blocks yet. However, there was a very large communication process for the ATMP that was a couple years ago, but that was a large engagement for the city at that time.
Is there associated engagement with projects like this with local residents as it advances?
If I may, I believe it could be included, but it's not. This is a very small project, to be honest, to add a sidewalk to existing street, and we're not changing the streets at all. It's a great improvement for our pedestrians, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually a very small project.
Thank you. And to my earlier question, so do we envision over time that all streets, when they're eventually redone, will adhere to this profile?
I believe so. We would be using the spirit of the ATMP cross section, and the master plan came with proposed cross sections for all different types of streets, local, collector, industrial. So, and they have all been rolled into our updated subdivision and servicing bylaw that's currently under review. So, yes.
Thank you. Yeah, the nature of my question is the disparity between the old cross section and the new cross section on that street at some point will be rectified.
Yeah, on 7th.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? Recommendation, if you don't.
Yes, that council directs staff to apply for the BC Active Transportation Infrastructure Grant Program for the new Sidewalks Infrastructure Program and authorizes the project if grant funded is secured, and that $276,205 being the municipal funding required to complete the project if successful be committed from the gas tax reserve.
I have a mover. Councillor Ramadas, seconded by Councillor McIsaac. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
And so now we have item 9.2, Council Town Hall meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. So this is something I've sort of had in the back of my mind for some time now, at least through this last year. And now I think we've got some time under our belt. I'd very much like to open the doors and have the community in and update them on a number of fronts and give them essentially a forum to give us, provide us with feedback. So that's the impetus behind the town hall, and certainly open to questions or comments. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just wondering if, how much time this is going to be for staff and capacity and stuff going into a budget and stuff like that. So I'm just curious if how staff would feel about this at this point. I mean, not feel about it, what they think about it.
Mr. Baranowski, do you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's an opportune time. We are closing in on your first full year in your term. It's a good time to report out on the actions and achievements and directions from that year. And I do believe there's valuable information to share. Staff recognize that it's community engagement, being an open council, communicating with the community and providing those opportunities is important. And we are here to serve based on your direction. So
thank you. Other questions, comments? Councillor Ramadas, and then Councillor Shoesmith.
Thank you, Worship. Just when we were at UBCM, I attended one of those working group sessions with regards to public engagement. I can't remember exactly what the name of the working group was, but one of their recommendations, in fact, based out of their observations from different communities in BC, was something that citizens have asked over and over again is a forum like this, a town hall, where an open communication with citizens. So I can't remember the exact dates, but one of the things that they said was sometime in the middle of next year, that recommendation would be communicated to municipalities across the province.
Mhm.
And I would say we'll be ahead of the curve. Implement this by, say, November.
Thank you.
It's really good.
Councillor Shoesmith.
Thanks, Your Worship. I, for one, look forward to this. It seems like it's going to be fun and overdue, and I citizens will appreciate it.
Thank you. I think so too. Any other comments? Councillor Audie Kelly?
Mayor Milligan, do we need to make a motion?
We do, actually. I have a resolution drafted here. Well, I drafted one and then Ms. Daniel drafted the proper one. You like to read it? It's your handiwork.
I've got it right here. That council directs staff to organize and facilitate a council town hall meeting in late November or early December and include a council update segment and an open mic to allow for community participation.
Mover, Councillor Audie Kelly, seconded by Councillor McIsaac. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And that brings us to item 11, reports from council. And I'll maybe pick on Councillor McIsaac because he's been away, and his will be the shortest shortest report. Maybe not. Yeah, have to hit your mic. Sorry.
All new to me. So casting my mind back to UBCM. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. You're right, Your Worship. I will be brief tonight. I'm just freshly back from a cycling tour in Europe, and which was incredibly fun. And I'm vacillating back and forth between deciding whether to call it a cycling tour with food or whether it was a food tour with cycling. But it was really great. One of the things that I really enjoyed while I was there was I had a lot of opportunity to talk to accommodators and restaurateurs and poor people and so on. And lo and behold, what did I hear? Staff shortages, rental shortages, highly inflated house prices from people buying it and so on. And I hear this everywhere I travel. And it is a constant reminder that while Fernie is an extremely special place, we are not unique in the challenges that they are universal. And having said that, I was incredibly glad to return home. This is a special place. It is compared to a, and frankly, I missed all you all.
And
So
we
glad
missed
to be
you.
back.
Thank you. Welcome back. Councillor Ramirez.
Thanks, Your Worship. Nothing major except for the Excellence Award, the Chamber Excellence Award. I was fortunate to be invited by the Chamber. It was a fun event. Just lots of businesses that do a tremendous work. Lot of hustling there. It's so really was an energy filled evening there. Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too sat at the same table as Councillor Ramirez at the Chamber Business Awards. Congratulations to all the recipients of the awards, and business community in general has been doing things. So even anybody who was nominated definitely is doing some good things.
Thank you. Councillor Shoesmith.
Not too much this time around for me, Your Worship. Like Councillor McIsaac, I too was traveling, but to the faraway and mythical land of Sparwood to do a bunch of work. So. Other than that, I'm happy to welcome our youth councillor. Patience. And congratulations as well to the winners of the awards. Couldn't make it, but pretty good. So, cool.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Surprisingly, I have nothing to report.
Councillor Audie Kelly.
Thanks, Mayor Milligan. I also attended the chamber event, and it was lovely with Mayor Milligan and Mrs. Milligan and Councillor Ramirez. The business community is incredible. Can't say enough about all of them. I'm so glad that I didn't have to choose the winners. And I am excited that Dylan's joined us. Really a bright light, and I'm looking forward to working with him. And on a more somber note, I attended a remembrance ceremony for Wayne, Lloyd, and Jason. And I just really would like the community to remember them and the sacrifice that they made. Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan. Youth Counselor Annis, sorry.
Anything to report. I would just like to this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And the phrase of putting another coat of paint on the Chamber Awards, it's sort of the only thing I had to report. Yeah, it was an excellent event, and I really enjoyed it. And I won't soon forget, particularly well, all the winners and all the speeches, but Dennis Johnlick's speech that didn't leave a dry eye in the house. I thought it was quite marvelous. So it was a great event. I really enjoyed it, and absolutely kudos to Anita Palmer, a well-deserved Citizen of the Year award there, a real powerhouse in our community. So thank you, everyone. And I will now ask Ms. Daniel to read our resolution to close.
That the council closed the meeting to the public pursuant to section 91K of the community charter, as the subject matter being considered relates to negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary services or that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hamilton? Seconded by Councillor Audia Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening, and we are now closed.